All right, welcome back to Roundtail Restoration, everybody. My name's Chris. I'm leaning on my 1964 Triumph TR4 that I'm doing a restoration of. My next project was to get this dash top sorted. This front lip here was all rotted out. As you can see, this piece here with a bunch of holes in it. Big old rust pit area in here that I repaired, a little area in here, and it went pretty well. So let's get it sorted. All right, I got the heater going. Hopefully with the lapel mic you can understand me. The next up is going to be doing this dash top. So I've got a square here to cut out that you can see I've marked, and the one big pit right in the middle goes all the way through pretty much, or very close. I can feel it on the bottom side of the metal. But I do have some supports right here that I'm cautious of, so I'm going to cut this out with a Dremel. And then I've showed you this before. You can see all the mess and everything else. Now, some people said, "Hey, you don't kill yourself on this. You're not going to see it," and that's all true. And I don't really care all that much. But this is a relatively complicated piece, and it can be a nice challenge here for me to see if I can do some finer metal work, especially if you look at this seam right here, how thin that is. And I'd have to recreate that down there. So I might just give this a shot, see how far I can get. But first up, we'll start with the low-hanging fruit here. Cut this piece out, get a new piece fitted up and weld it in. So this is the dash support that I'm looking at replacing. You can see it's pretty Swiss cheesy all the way out, and then way in this corner here, it's disconnected. So I reached out to the SPI forum because there's a lot of guys on there that do a lot of good body work, some major restorations and things like that. And I got a couple different pieces of advice, and the one that's sticking with me, mainly because I have the tools to do so, is to use a shrinker stretcher and cut the piece of metal out, make it this flange here in the front, but make it tall, 1/4 inch or so, ½ inch, so that the shrinker stretcher can grab it, and then use that to mold the metal one long piece, or I'm going to have to do 2 long pieces because my metal break is too short to do one big piece. But do those pieces and just use that shrinker stretcher to help me form that piece of metal. The intent here is to weld it flat into this groove. I'm not sure that that's the best idea, but I don't want to put another flange on it. One, because the brake I think is going to interfere with me with 2 flanges, and 2, I'm afraid the shrinker stretcher will have a harder time of making it with 2 flanges in it, and I'll be fighting myself too much. It's not worth it. But once I get this bent up, there's no way probably that I'll put a flange in it and not just mess it all up again. So we're going to go ahead and try that, and I'm just going to slowly work my way, and we'll see how it works out. So as I mentioned, the metal brake, you guys have seen this many times. It's only an 18-inch brake. It's not really all that strong, but I've got the piece of metal. I cut it about 16 inches or so. I end up having more metal than I need, which is fine. So I'm going to go ahead, and this again is going to be the front flange. You notice how much bigger it is than I need, and that's fine. And there's another 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of metal underneath this piece here. So we're just going to bend it up, make that flange real quick, and then start forming it up. All right, well, that didn't go so well. I broke my clamp over here. So we might have to come up with a different solution there to make this flange, but for now it works. I hope. Yeah, I'll sharpen that up a little bit in the vise or something, but that'll work for now. All right, dash top here. Got the new piece of metal. I got a line marked here. This is about where I want to start and then go out to the passenger side. So I just took a Sharpie and traced on that flange there. All right, and transferred that line onto this flange. So now because I need it to go curved up, I essentially kind of need to fold this in half. I'm going to shrink on this flange right here so that it starts to move up like that. So I'll go over to my shrinker. We'll see how that works. Extreme close-up of the shrinker here. I'm going to open the jaws. Got a little handle so you can see that that opens. And you stick the piece of metal in there, and when you start to push down on it, you can see the gaps, and the gaps are going to start to close. So that's going to grab the metal in between those two teeth, and they're serrated, and grab them and pull them together and shrink it up. So that's what the deal is here. Zoom out a little bit so you can see when I put the metal in. All right, so we're going to go right where the bend starts, essentially, right in the middle of those serrated teeth. And you just push down and work your way a little bit in the middle, hopefully. All right, you can see that metal starting to curve there, I think. And this is gonna, right, I'm curving the flange and it's fighting me, but this metal is curving here. So it's gonna take some hammer and dolly work too, probably, to kind of make this work. So essentially we'll just keep going back and forth to the car, do some hammer and dolly work, right? I'm trying to get it to go like this by shrinking the metal in here. And it might even be a little bit too sharp, but we'll see, and we'll just keep trying and keep working it. All right, kind of an extreme close-up here, and I've got the heater running too, so I apologize for that, but you can see here holding up to that flange, holding up to the edge, just a little bit more shrinking than I need to do in there. You can see, I think, all the marks here, all the serrated marks here where it grabs it, but a lot of that stuff is going to be gone anyway after I cut the flange to size. So still working it, but you know, just back and forth and pressing and everything, and it's coming in though. I'm happy. All right, again, sorry about the heater, but I got this lined up pretty good to make this first curve, but I can't get it tight enough to make the second one and not blow out the first one. So I think what I'm going to do is make a cut right in the apex of the curve that'll allow me to relieve that flange and bend it down. And then I'll have to come back and weld it back up, or even put a piece of metal in there. I have a feeling the V there that's going to be formed is going to be pretty big, but I can't come up with another way to be able to make that curve, like I said, without destroying the first one. So that's what we'll try. See how it goes. All right, so all in all, this is actually coming out okay. You can see the one piece is kind of clamped in here, and then I had to make a second piece that essentially clamps in right behind it. The curves aren't perfect, but they're pretty good. That sinker stretcher, I think, was the way to go, at least for this case. So I've got 1, 2, 3 captive nuts that I need to replace on that, which is fine. I have those that I got from the Roadster factory. I actually ordered the wrong cage. Got the right nuts, but the wrong cage, and they were kind enough to, when I asked, they were kind enough to essentially put more in the mail for me, no charge, so that was very kind, and they didn't have to do that. But now I'm going to go right on that seam there and cut that out all the way to this end over here. I've got some repairs I got to do in here, that there's some holes here that need it, and I can take care of that, take care of these, and then I'm going to have this big mass of stuff up here. That's going to be a little bit tricky. But for now, this will give me some rigidity back and keep the shape, hopefully, and allow me to test out. I think what I might do too is just leave these big flanges up here and then grind them down as I go, instead of trying to cut them now. Just use the grinder and take them down. So Next up, we'll get this piece cut out. The old dash flange here, again, right in that crease, and we'll look at getting this new piece welded in. All right, there's that on the floor. All right, quick update. Got this piece pretty well fit. I had to go back and revisit a little bit of the curvature over there, but that one's good. This one's good. I can't reach all the way over there. And what I'm going to do first is you can see the black marks on here. I got this little square, and that guy way out there, I've got little pieces made up for that. I'll do those first since they're going to go all the way down into that seam. And I just figure it's going to be easier on me to repair it now before I get these pieces in. The other thing I'm looking at doing is drilling holes in these for the captive nuts, and doing that before I weld it in. But I got to double check that. And then there's one big divot right here. It's the only place I don't think I'm going to repair, just because it's a pretty large piece. It's going to have to go in there. It like pretty much starts all over. It's like a chain of islands almost. So it starts all over here and comes up into here. And I think just because of the complexity of the curves and all that kind of stuff, I'll wait on that. Next up, we'll go ahead, cut these 3 pieces out, get new pieces welded in, cleaned up, and then move into getting these pieces tacked in. So I got those pieces mostly in. This, you can see that oval is not right, and I did that on purpose. Just what I'll do is I'll go back through and take a burr and do that upright when I go to actually, before I paint, obviously, but put the windshield in, because those holes get pretty beat up and get deformed. See, that one over there is pretty bad, but everything else is in. Those are tacked in at least. So now I've got to get a good fit on this thing, measure the width of the existing channel so that I know where this goes in and out this way, and start tacking it in. And then when I get down here, I'm going to have to make this corner and clean that up so that it will go in further, because this flange right here tends to stop it, and on the other side it just kind of fades away and has a little cutout in it. As you can see that, it kind of curves. So I just have to make that curve in there, which I don't think is going to be too bad. Just kind of set it up there and trace a little bit. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, moving along pretty good. Happy with the way it's going so far. Got these patch pieces all cleaned up, welded in fully, and they're all good to go. Now I've got the flange here magneted up. Gonna go ahead and tack it into several spots, and then worry about this edge over here. Get that thing taken care of, and we'll be most of the way there. All right, it's tacked in. Not real crazy about the welds. I don't know what the deal is. They're not working real well, but that's all right. It's tacked in enough. All right, sorry about the heater again. Now what I'm going to do is go through and grind down this edge. So I'll take the original piece here and trace a line so I have something to guide me, and then I'll have to clean up this and put a little spot welds in here. What I'm hoping that'll allow me to do is give me a little bit better access to this crease in here so that I can go through and weld that up, and then we'll get it nice and pretty. Not going to record that for you. You've all seen me grind a gazillion times. All right, well, it's in. It's not gorgeous, but it's in. Again, I'm not going to have this, or it's going to be covered, so I'm not that concerned. But it'll work. I'm probably eventually going to go at it from the other side. I don't fancy and turning myself upside down in here and trying to weld to the crease from the bottom, but eventually I'll probably get in there. Next up, you can see I kind of got that black line right there. This is the last big cancer spot that I need to worry about. So that whole big black line there is essentially going to be what I'm going to cut out. And that guy right there is going to be the donor piece. Now I still have to cut out the piece for the vent, but I've been hammering on this, trying to get that curve in there. Not the easiest task. I've got PVC pipes over here that I've been kind of resting it on there so I can shrink it. Probably not the right way to do it, but it seems to have been working. Of course, I've said that before, and then I go to weld it in and it's all wonky and everything. So again, not incredibly concerned because it's going to be covered, but I also try not to disturb the shape too much so that the crash pad has the ability to kind of follow. So I'm going to go ahead, do this little, you can see I got that little mark right there where I've got it kind of roughed in to where the little cutout's going to be. I got to mark a hole in there. So I'm going to go ahead and place this where I think it's going to be, get a Sharpie under there, mark it, get this thing drilled and prepped and ready to go in, and then cut that piece of metal out. All right, so as you can see here, I got a new piece of metal, trying to get it into here. I've started to cut out the old piece of metal. Gonna fit this guy up, clamp it in, and see if I can make it work. I'm going to have to cut this whole piece out. There's a piece of support underneath here that unfortunately I missed and forgot about, so I've started to cut into that. So I'm gonna have to, I might not do anything, or might weld it up real quick and try to grind it flat, but I've got tried to get some match marks on here, as you can see, to kind of line it up, but otherwise it's just a matter of getting this old metal out of here and getting the new metal in, hopefully. And this will be the last repair for the dash top here. All right, I cut this up a little bit, but actually not too bad. I'm not going to, it's just right along here and then right along here. I'm not going to weld it here. I'm going to get it underneath. So this piece is somewhat close. It ain't perfect. You can see that in there especially, but I should be able to manhandle it in there. Get my match marks lined up because I've got the hole for the vent to worry about. So I'm going to shave this off. It's a little too proud over here, and shave it off here. I'd rather cut the donor metal than the old metal in this case. We are gonna have to form this as we go along, and this is a pretty hard edge here, so this is what I'm gonna go by. Hard as in relatively inflexible. Hopefully, anyway. Well, I'm happy with that. It's locked in there. Looks pretty good. Finished my stitch welding here, and I think that'll be done. Just remembered that I forgot to paint that. Oh well, I guess it didn't rust over 60 years. Probably. I guess it won't rust over another, 20 that I'm alive. So good. So yeah, we'll call that done, and I think this will wrap up the video. That's all I got really left, is to stitch that in and clean that up. And really, there's you guys have seen me do that a million times. So there we go. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.